everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to day 2. Yesterday, we spent some time defining our values. So, hopefully, you did the homework assignment, which was to reflect on your values, to see if there's anything that you missed, and to separate your values. Make sure you have your values written one value per card. So, today, we're going to start with the sorting that. Hold on.
Like the sorting hat, except you're doing it yourself. I'd like to just give myself kudos for the nerd reference. Thank you very much.
Okay, so day 2, we're going to spend some time, we're going to group your values into what we're going to call pillar values, which has a cluster of values that support you. Then we'll have you reflect on those values and what it would be like if you lived your life by those values by way of a brief guided meditation.
It's going to be awesome.
So to start defining those pillar values, you first need to start organizing them. So we're going to do this process called affinity mapping to sort the cards into groups. This affinity mapping process allows you to group together similar values. So what I want you to do is to get all of your Post-its or cards out so that they're visible as much as possible. Start with the first one. So just pick one up, place it to the side, and then start finding other values that match with that one. Find that they're similar. And once you go through all of your values, you match those that are similar, then pick up the next Post-it card and then start matching to all of those. So the idea is that you just pick up a value card and then find all the ones that match it until you have all of the values grouped together. If you find that you have a value or two that don't fit into a group, put that in a parking lot, set it off to the side for the moment. Then you can kind of step back, look at the process of all of the cards laid out and decide where it should go. So we're just going to give you a few minutes right now for you to go through that process. Remember, it's really just pick up one value, put it in a pile, and then search through the other values, place them all together. You want to end up with a total of about 5 to 7 groups, if you can. So we'll just give you a minute right here. We'll be right back so that you can group all of those together. Okay, so hopefully now you have 5 to 7 groups. So, your next task, we want to start to create sort of summary statements for each of these clusters of values. So, look at the group of values that are in one cluster and try to come up with one key word or one concept that summarizes that group of values. And you'll do that for each of the 5 to 7 groups. So we're going to give you another minute for you to look at each group, find a concept that summarizes that group, and then label that group. In the handout for today, for day 2, you can see some examples. So we have a couple of instances of a summary concept and then a list of values that kind of cluster those together. So if you need some inspiration, you can look to that. So we'll just give you another couple of minutes to sort this one out, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now you have clusters of values, a group of values in various groups. You've identified one concept or phrase or something that kind of summarizes that group. This is an example when Heather did her value statements. These are the summary words that she attached to the values clusters. Do you want to talk about this for a minute, Heather?
Yeah, so when I went through doing my own personal value statements, I wrote them on a little post-it thingy, and I stuck them. I actually have a whiteboard, and I stuck them on the whiteboard in group clusters. And I discovered my number one value is learning. I love to learn. I want to be that nerd that's researching and just like learning stuff all the time. And I want to be that person that spins around from their chair and says, actually, yeah, I want to be that guy. I want to be the actually guy. So, but it's just because I love like putting random stuff in my head. It's probably why I love trivia more than anything. I just want to put random stuff in my head. And so I did not know that about myself. I knew that I love to learn. I knew that I love to research, but I didn't know that it was so high up on my list until I took all of these values that I had gone through from the meditation and from kind of doing this introspective exploration as to what was important to me and experiences in my life, until I saw that I had so many that would be under the umbrella of learning. And I was like, oh wow, holy free holies, like I've got a lot of those. And then I also, as I'm walking through, because you can have one memory that actually links to multiple values, right? So a lot of my memories have multiple linkage. Like part of the reason I like learning is because I also like teaching. I like, and that's a part of that umbrella. But teaching for me also hybrids into connection. I feel a strong connection when I mentor and I'm connecting with somebody. There's a vulnerability there that I value, that not only my own vulnerability, but their vulnerability, that authenticity. And I put that under kind of connection. And then I also love adventure, which is a little bit like learning because it's about those new experiences, that kind of going out there and trying something crazy. I have a very strong philosophy that I would rather make a mistake of action than the regret of inaction, which, by the way, means I've done a lot of stupid things. I really, really have. It also means I have far more experiences than most people that are more reserved. I'm not a reserved person. Like, it's not who I am. Also, one of my values is kindness. I feel that, and it hasn't always been like this. This is something that I've grown into. I can have a very, very, very sharp tongue, and I have used that and hurt people that I care about more than I would care to. And I've learned as I've grown older how important it is to be kind, not just to the people around you, but also to yourself. And that if you can be kind, you should be kind. And then the hardest value for me to accept, and this is going to shock anybody that knows me or sees me, is it was hard for me to accept that flamboyance is a value. And this is where I want people to really hear this part of my story, which might help your story. My whole life, it's, oh, Heather, isn't she cute? Oh, Heather, why don't you calm down? Heather, you're a little too much. I am a little too much for a lot of people. I really recognize that. But it's who I am. It is a part of my light. It is a part of what attracts people to me, of what I see in the world, and it's a part of who I am. And when I went through this, I'm gonna say some language right now. You're gonna accept my language right now. I just said, fuck it. I am a crazy flamboyant person, and you know what? I'm not gonna do it by half. I'm gonna be crazy and flamboyant, and I am not gonna shrink and minimize myself. And I apologize if that bothers people, but guess what? I'm not going to be friends with everybody, am I?
That's
The
exactly right.
people that are my friends are going to accept my flamboyance. So
Yes.
those are some of the pillars that I
Yep.
came up with.
So then, once you have these core concepts, right? So you have your clusters, you have finally embraced and identified what the label is for that pillar. Now we're going to move into writing statements. So like the epiphanies that Heather talked about, I mean, it took a while to get to this process to kind of realize what these values are and why they're so important. Now we want to make sure that we don't forget them. So to do that, we're going to write out statements. Now, again, like yesterday, it's best if you can write things out by hand, but however you need to, capture a statement that summarizes this values pillar for you. So we have some examples of Heather's values statements that came from those pillars that she just identified. Do
Say
you want
that
to go through
5
these?
times fast. Values statements, values statements, values statements. Doesn't work. Yeah. So, and I actually did write it. I have my book here. I actually wrote it in with a pen and a paper. People still use those things. Office supplies exist. I believe learning, growth, and creativity help us become better people and for our light to shine brighter. That is how I have identified my learning value. And for connection, I believe that connection to those around us is important. There is peace and happiness in open acceptance of those we care for. And then adventure. I believe in adventure and exploration in leaning in. And for kindness, I believe that kindness is the root of being a good human, and I strive to act in kindness. And then flamboyance. I believe that anything worth doing is worth doing with flair.
Okay, so this is now, we're going to give you another few minutes to write down your statements. So, the same way you have just focused on your values, you've grouped them together, you've labeled them with something important. Now, write out a statement that embraces that values pillar for you. if you can, use other values that are in that pillar. Try to use the descriptions that summarize that pillar as you're writing out this statement. But whatever you need. So take a few moments now, write 5 to 7 statements to represent those 5 to 7 groups. We'll give you another minute to work on that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now you have your set of vision, you have your set of values statements. We want to go through an exercise now for you to really to allow them to sink in, for you to really imagine living those value statements. So we're going to do a brief guided meditation. You settle into your body, and you're going to imagine what your life would be like if you started today living by those values every day, keeping those values in front of you. What would your life be like at the end of your life if you had spent a full life embracing those values every day? So, we're going to ask you to just sit with that. Now, this is a short meditation, it's about 6 minutes. So let's do the meditation, and then we will come right back and kind of close this up. Okay, welcome back. That's it. That's the end of
Good
day
job.
2. So now you have a series of value statements. The only homework that you have tonight is to just really embrace those values. Think about those values. If you want, if you're the artsy, craftsy, artistic type, why don't you write them out or create some beautiful template of your value statements so that you can post them somewhere that's important to you, somewhere where you'll see them. You can spend some time just being a little bit creative with them if you'd like, or not, or just think about them. That's all we really have for you to think about tonight. Did you have something else, Heather?
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to talk about utilizing these values and these value pillars to set your intentions, whether it be, for your day, your week, your month, your year. Everybody thinks about, their New Year's resolutions, but if you think about, that's really just an intention for a year. And we're going to break it down into multiple different ways based upon these value pillars. So really think about that meditation that you did, and kind of going, if you had lived your life throughout that duration, and just allow that to percolate, and see what you come up with when we come back tomorrow.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it. See you all tomorrow.
Bye, be well.